If you grew up in a British primary school, you know December wasn't just a month. It was an absolute marathon of glitter, crackers, chaos, and the kind of excitement that made teachers sweat. One moment had the whole class turning into a sugar-fueled disco. Another left everyone coated in PVA glue and pride. And the number one memory, that's the one everyone still laughs about years later. If you remember counting down the days with pure, twitchy anticipation, this one's for you. Number 10. The last day classroom party. This was the moment the whole term built up to. Desks shoved aside, jumpers overheating under all the excitement, and the teacher announcing "party time" like they'd been holding back chaos for weeks. Music blasted from an old CD player or the teacher's laptop, and suddenly the room turned into a mini disco that would have made Santa proud. Kids formed conga lines that somehow crashed into every table, danced their hearts out to Slade, and argued passionately over who got the next go in musical chairs. Someone always went too hard in musical statues and toppled over, setting off a round of uncontrollable giggles. The snack table was a battlefield, crisps disappearing instantly, chocolate fingers vanishing in suspicious numbers, and orange squash spilling everywhere. Teachers joined in too, which made it even funnier. Nothing beat the sight of Sir doing the Macarena or Miss accidentally getting competitive in Pass the Parcel. By the end, the room looked like a festive tornado had passed through. Tinsel in people's hair and crumbs everywhere, but nobody cared. It was the purest form of school Christmas joy. And coming up the next moment was somehow even messier, but in the most adorable way. Number 9. Making cards and shoebox creations for parents. This was festive chaos at its absolute finest. Newspaper covering every table, pots of glitter standing by like tiny time bombs, and every child claiming they needed all the sequins. The mission: create the world's greatest Christmas card or shoebox masterpiece for mum or dad. Kids worked with the concentration of professional artists, tongues sticking out as they glued cotton wool snow, drew wobbly Christmas trees, or turned handprints into Santas. Someone always overdid the glitter and coughed it into the air, coating half the class in sparkles. The smell of PVA glue filled the room. Scissors made that constant scritch sound, and every 5 seconds you'd hear, "Teacher, look at mine!" The shoebox projects were even more dramatic, wrapping paper everywhere, tape stuck to foreheads, and boxes decorated with more tinsel than a small department store. Kids imagined the proud moment their parents would open them, clutching the box like fragile treasure. It was messy, chaotic, and utterly perfect, the kind of creative mayhem that defined primary school Christmas. But the next moment, that's when the whole class transformed into a walking festive fashion parade. Number 8. Christmas jumper non-uniform day. This was the one day the school uniform rules evaporated. Suddenly the corridors exploded into a sea of flashing lights, pom-poms, jingling bells and jumpers, so outrageous they should have come with a warning label. Kids arrived beaming, comparing outfits before they'd even taken their coats off. Someone always had a jumper that played music, usually pressed repeatedly by their mates until the teacher begged for mercy. Another kid's jumper was so fluffy it shed on anyone who stood too close. Compliments and cheeky jabs were everywhere. "Your elf looks like he's had a rough night," or "My nan's got that jumper too." It was all part of the fun. Teachers joining in made the day even better. Nothing beat seeing the strict head teacher turn up in a Grinch jumper or your maths teacher wearing antlers. The whole school felt warmer, sillier, and just a bit chaotic. But if that was colourful chaos, the next moment brought out the calm, cosy kind of Christmas excitement. Number 7. The classroom advent calendar. Every morning in December had the same electric tension. Who's opening the door today? That big advent calendar on the chalkboard practically called to you the moment you walked in. Kids sat up straighter when the teacher reached for the name jar, all silently chanting, "Pick me, pick me." When your name actually came out, you walked to the front feeling like royalty. Opening that tiny cardboard door felt like a national event. Inside might be a little picture, a candle, a snowman, Santa's sleigh, or, if your class was lucky, a chocolate that made everyone hiss, "Lucky you." The whole class craned their necks to see, and the excitement lasted exactly long enough for someone to say, "I'm opening number 8 tomorrow." It was a tiny ritual, but it made every morning feel festive, like Christmas was sneaking closer with each flap of cardboard. And coming up, the next moment is pure childhood cinema magic, the kind that stopped the whole class in their tracks. Number 6. Christmas film on the TV trolley. You could hear it before you saw it. The rattle of the TV trolley coming down the corridor. The moment it rolled through the door, the entire room lit up. This was basically the school equivalent of a Hollywood premiere. The curtains were pulled shut, the lights dimmed, and suddenly the classroom turned into a cinema. Kids scrambled for the best floor spot, legs crossed, eyes huge, waiting for the VS tracking to sort itself out. The opening notes of The Snowman, or the theme from Home Alone, hit, and every fidgety kid fell silent. Teachers sometimes used this moment to hand out chocolate coins or candy canes, which somehow made the film feel even more magical. Kids whispered favourite lines, gasped at the sad bits, and burst into giggles when someone accidentally quoted the wrong part at the wrong time. It was cosy, lazy, end-of-term heaven. The kind of moment that made the whole class forget all about worksheets and spellings. And if that brought the calm, the next moment brings the full festive volume right back up. Number 5. Carol singing in the hall or playground. This was the loudest, proudest moment of December. Hundreds of kids packed into the hall, clutching crumpled song sheets while the piano hammered out the first notes of "Hark, the Herald Angels Sing." Immediately half the room belted their hearts out. A quarter mumbled confidently wrong lyrics, and the rest just moved their lips, hoping no one noticed. When it happened outside, it felt even more magical. Coats zipped up to your chin, breath puffing little clouds into the air, fairy lights twinkling as everyone shouted, "Like a light bulb," during Rudolph. Teachers waved their arms around, trying to conduct like they were at the Royal Albert Hall. Bells jingled somewhere in the crowd, and the playground turned into a festive echo chamber. It wasn't perfect. Kids sang off-key, missed cues, or collapsed into giggles during the silly bits. But that messy, joyful noise was the whole point. And if that was the soundtrack of school Christmas, the next moment was the starring performance everyone secretly wanted to be in. Number 4, the Nativity play Christmas show. Nothing united a school like the Nativity, or at least nothing caused as much backstage panic. Tea towels tied onto heads, tinsel halos slipping down foreheads, cardboard crowns shedding gold flakes everywhere. It was glorious chaos. Kids buzzed behind the curtains, whispering lines, poking each other with shepherd's crooks and trying not to sneeze into their angel wings. Teachers sprinted around adjusting costumes, re-pinning halos, and whisper shouting "quiet" every 30 seconds. Once it began, it was pure magic. Tiny angels spreading their arms, shepherds muttering lines into the void, and the narrator reading in that loud, slow, primary school voice. Parents beamed from the audience, camcorders wobbling, tissues at the ready. Someone always stole the show without meaning to. A sheep waving at their mum the entire time, a wise man dropping his gift, or an angel who got bored and sat down mid-song. But that was exactly why everyone loved it. And coming up, the next moment transformed the entire school before you even stepped inside the classroom. Number 3. Tinsel-wrapped classrooms. December hit, and suddenly every classroom looked like it had been attacked lovingly by a glitter tornado. Tinsel looped around every whiteboard, paper chains sagged triumphantly across the ceiling, and windows filled up with hand-cut snowflakes, some delicate, some aggressively enthusiastic. The tree in the corner was always a bit lopsided, the decorations mismatched, and the star on top never sat straight. Kids proudly pointed out which ornament they'd made: a cardboard angel with one wing, a star decorated with too much glitter, or a bauble laminated in the early 2000s that somehow survived. Everything smelled faintly of dusty tinsel, glue, and whatever was in the old decorations box. Bells jingled whenever someone opened the door, and sunlight caught the glitter at just the right angle to blind someone. It wasn't stylish, but it felt like magic. Your normal classroom transformed into a festive explosion that made even maths feel exciting. And now we pause for the mid-roll, because the top two moments are the ones everyone remembers best. Number 2, paper crowns from Christmas crackers. This was the great equalizer of school Christmas. Everyone, absolutely everyone, wore a flimsy paper crown, whether it fit or not. The moment the crackers were pulled at lunch, the hall filled with tiny explosions, a whiff of gunpowder, and the rustle of tissue paper being unfolded with great ceremony. Kids swapped colours, tried to fix ripped edges, and adjusted slipping crowns that slid over their eyebrows. Even the shy kids couldn't help but grin under their crinkly tiaras. Teachers wore them too, usually at wonky angles, which made the whole thing even funnier. By the afternoon, half the crowns were torn, most were crooked, and a few were stuffed into coat pockets for safekeeping. But for those few hours, everyone felt like royalty. Sort of. But if the crowns were iconic, nothing beat the moment the whole school gathered for the ultimate festive feast. Number 1. School Christmas dinner in the hall. This was the pinnacle. The moment the school hall stopped being a hall and turned into a full-blown Christmas banquet. Long tables covered in red and green cloths, tinsel everywhere, a slightly wonky tree in the corner, and the entire school buzzing. The smell hit first: turkey, or whatever mystery meat the kitchen produced, stuffing, gravy, and that one obligatory Brussels sprout. The sound was pure festive chaos: chairs scraping, plastic cutlery clattering, and hundreds of excited voices bouncing off the walls. Crackers snapped all over the place as kids proudly wore their crowns, compared toys and swapped jokes. Teachers walked between tables helping cut up turkey, pulling crackers with kids and laughing along. The food wasn't gourmet: lumpy mash, slightly soggy veg, gravy that had a mind of its own, but nobody cared. It was the one lunch of the year where the whole hall felt alive, joyful, and completely united in festive mayhem. And with that, we wrap up our trip through the British school Christmas memories that defined childhood. Growing up in a British primary school meant December wasn't just a build-up to Christmas. It was Christmas. Glitter everywhere, jumpers that jingled, crackers that snapped too soon, and the unmistakable smell of turkey drifting through the corridor. These moments stuck with us because they weren't polished or perfect. They were chaotic, loud, silly, and absolutely brilliant. Whether you were belting out carols, elbow deep in PVA glue, or wearing a paper crown that kept sliding into your eyes, it all felt magical in that very British, slightly scruffy way. If any of these memories made you grin, or suddenly smell gravy and tinsel, share this with someone who once sat beside you on the hall floor, waiting for the TV trolley to roll in.